Right. I should be there. Eddie, I'm going to make you the host real quick. Right now it's playing me live on YouTube, which there. I hate when it does that. I think I can turn it off and it shouldn't be a problem. So Michael, yep, we will catch you here in a minute. Hopefully, while we wait, since I wait for comments, I usually try to figure out if you've talked to anybody, any reps at our company or anything yet. You can, while I'm waiting, you can unmute if you want to answer, or you can put it in chat, whatever. I'm just kind of curious if you had a chance to talk to anyone, or you just saw this as a either social media post or one of our emails, and that's why you were jumping on. Yeah, so we usually just wait a couple minutes on here. If you're out there in the YouTube world and you want to join this call, so you can actually ask your questions live. Hopefully you can see on the screen here. I start these just a few minutes late because people tend to straggle getting on here. And then I'll just do a kind of a pretty quick presentation, hopefully keep it at 10 minutes, might go a little longer. And then I'll just do a Q&A at the end about pretty much any questions you guys have. It doesn't even have to be strictly like our marketing or lead generation process. Maybe you have some questions about online advertising, automation, stuff like that. I don't mind tackling those as well. But yep, that's how I'll do it. So we'll get you, the key information that you need so you understand the fundamentals of our program. It's not going to be quite as good as like if you talk to a rep, they'll be able to really walk you through all that kind of stuff. But at least this should give you a pretty high level understanding of some things. We have a tiny announcement to make, a special offer discount, if you will, at the end of this presentation too. We'll talk about that. And then we also have a new partnership we're announcing, some new data stuff we'll talk about. I'll try to focus primarily on the main stuff, but as I see people come in here, just a quick question for everybody that's jumping in. If you don't mind, sorry, I was going to say, so we're streaming live on YouTube. I forgot to tell you where to go. So if you want to get on this call so I can actually open up your mic and do Q&A with you, just go to meetbrandonlive.com. That's MEET Brandon, BRANDON, basic spelling, live, LIVE.com. There'll be a link there. That page says something about Wednesday. It doesn't matter. It's the same link. Just click the button. You'll be able to jump on this call, and then I can actually get your questions answered. We'll try to monitor anything that happens on YouTube. It's a little difficult to do. It's a lot better if I can just, get your questions here. But while we have a couple people jumping on and we're waiting to get kicked in, if you can in chat, let me know if you've talked to any reps here. Yeah, if you talked to a rep at our company, or you're just jumping on because you saw this either posted on social media or you got an email blast or whatever. That way I kind of have a sense of where you're at as far as information goes, like what do you know about the program already and all that. So where we at time wise? Forward to you. It's about 3 more minutes. So I appreciate you all taking the time out of your busy days, I'm sure, to jump on the call with me today and kind of see what we're doing. Well, if you're chatting in Zoom as well, if you're putting your answers in, whether you've talked to a rep or not, I'd also love to know if any of you are already actively, doing these types of loans that we're going to talk about today, which is real estate investor loans, which you might call like commercial or perhaps even non-QM type lending, hard money, private money, whatever the case. Lots of different terms, kind of the same bucket. So I'd be curious to know. If you don't mind, hit that chat and just let me know where you're at, whether you've talked to a rep and if you have experience already in this type of lending. So don't chat at me all at once. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I don't see a single answer yet. If you don't know how to use Zoom and you don't know where chat is, it should be, you should have a bar, I believe, at the bottom. It might be at the top. I can't remember when I share screen where that goes. You just have to click a few buttons. You should see something that says chat, and you can just pop your answers in there. Okay, cool. We have at least one person. CR320. I guess you're related to CP30. Just kidding. It's a Star Wars joke. Sorry. No, not a robot, real human. That's cool. Cool. Did you talk, hey, Carlos, did you talk to anybody at our company yet, or is you just jumping on this today? So we got someone with no commercial. Yes, Jake. Okay, cool. Awesome. Thanks. Yeah, James, we'll talk a little bit about people that don't have experience too. Some options for that. It's not. I mean, we definitely do other stuff, but this is our primary focus today. Is talking about the commercial side of things for real estate investment products. So those kind of run a gamut. Those of you who have experience, you probably know. You know, those might fall into a couple different buckets: non-QM, commercial, hard money, stuff like that. Um, but yeah, that's primarily our focus today. I can talk about some of our other stuff as well at the end of this when we get into the Q&A about like some of the other stuff. But it looks like we're about 4 or 5 right now. So I think you can see my screen. Is that correct? At least Eddie, can you let me know for sure that my screen's showing up
Yeah.
okay?
Yep. Everything's good.
Cool. Yeah. So like I said, when I'm done going through this real quick, I'll just kind of check in with each of you one-on-one. You can start popping questions in the chat as you go, and I'll try to answer those and all that. Eddie's here to kind of help me. He's one of our managers here at the company. He wears a lot of hats, but either way, let's get into this. So, like I said, today we really kind of want to focus in on what we're doing with the real estate investment space. So one of the big reasons why we're doing this right now is it's no secret, right? The general conventional owner occupied home buyer market is pretty slow right now. We're, obviously one of the worst markets seen in 30 years. We've been doing this stuff for about 3 years now with actually several hundred clients. We've spent millions already on this type of ad. One thing I can tell you is right now we're not really seeing much of an impact in this market. I don't want to say like 100% no impact, but it's pretty minimal for the most part. The biggest things is the guidelines kind of are a little tighter right now, shifting. But the key thing is that this type of lending is still very, very active. Our clients are still, actually a lot of them are reporting some of their best months ever, regardless of the fact that we're in October 2023. So if you haven't seen any of our case studies, we'll talk about that today too. So you can literally listen to these loan officers talk about their stuff. So this can be good for people who aren't familiar with this type of stuff, and we'll kind of get into that. So that's what I'm talking about right here. So we're actually in the works right now, and we'll announce this pretty soon, hopefully next week. No promises on that, but we're forming a new partnership with a company that is already teaching brokers and even people who aren't brokers yet how to move into this type of lending. Learn how to do commercial loans, non-QM loans, and to expedite their learning curve so they can get into the business real quick. So for people who don't have experience right now, we should have a couple different options for you that you could participate either in our program and learn the ropes of it really quickly, or vice versa, perhaps participate more so in their program and then come to us later for the lead gen aspect or the marketing aspect, if that makes sense. So this does apply to everyone, in my opinion, especially if you're looking a way to thrive during this down market. Obviously, I think a lot of people are still thinking, hey, it's going to be quite a while before we see a good move in the opposite direction on your conventional owner occupied type properties. So it could be a good time, not to mention, I mean, it has this type of marketing, this type of arena is really, really good overall. So anyway, real quick thing about us. I'm Brandon, the CEO. I'm the founder of the Mortgage Growth System. So I have 20 plus years experience in marketing and business. In 2016, I created this company. In 2017, I created the sub brand that you would refer to as the Mortgage Growth System. That's really what we're talking about today. And so during that period of time, we've done a lot of stuff. We've worked with 2,500 plus brokers and loan officers and mortgage companies, spent millions on ads, generated millions of leads, funded billions in deals. And then Chrissy is our president, who is in the background on this call tonight. She joined us full time anyway in 2022 after a long career in design, offline marketing. So our expertise as a team comes together. I mean, honestly, between everybody in our team, it's almost like 100 years worth of experience across the board through either technology or marketing or things that apply to this. So anyway, why choose us? Well, some of the things are, we have some phenomenal in-market data. We have some cool technology stacks, things that you probably haven't seen before. We'll talk briefly about that today. Another cool thing is about this type of marketing, as I mentioned before, is it creates built-in repeat clients. This is pretty awesome. So what we know from talking to our own clients is that about 10 to 20% of the leads that we generate either need multiple loans like right now or in the very near future. So that's one of the coolest things about real estate investors. If you're not in that space already, is, I mean, most people who invest in real estate, they want to keep doing it. They do it over and over and over again. And so you can literally create built-in repeat clients as those of you who know, who are already in the space. A lot of times people will start with like a fix and flip, hard money loan, something like that. That's short term, 6 to 24 months, somewhere in that ballpark. And then they have to refi out later too. So a lot of times you can just you have basically a client that's going to turn into 2 loans for you in many cases. So the other cool thing is we do limit the number of clients we work with. We want to make sure we're able to provide the best service as possible with our capacity, and also not oversaturate the market with too much competition. Our clients in this category typically see at least 5 to 7% conversion rate, and that usually increases to 7 to 10%, sometimes even higher after 6 months. We'll talk about why that is a little bit later. Cool thing too is 40% of our leads self-book their own appointments. So that means when they become a lead, they'll book a call with you right then and there. And this program includes an appointment setter team. That's our in-house team of appointment setters, and they're going to help recapture a lot of the people that didn't book their own calls with it. And actually, I should have had it on the slide. We typically see about a 70, even sometimes higher contact rate, like actual real conversations with leads. So it is quite a market. So the other thing is when we do this, we're not lead sellers, we're not lead aggregators, we're a marketing agency. So we build everything around you, your brand, your company, whatever makes sense, so that we're building up your brand during this process, and we're building up trust for your consumers so they actually get to know, like, and trust you before they even talk with you. And the last thing is we only generate long form leads. So if you're familiar with the different lead options out there, really there's 2 categories: what would be a short form lead and the long form lead. If you're familiar with Facebook, a lot of people refer to a short form lead as lead forms. We do not use that kind. We do not do that. We want to make your leads provide a lot more information, almost a whole application's worth of information, and make them work a little bit to become a lead. That's how we know we're generating good leads. We don't want somebody to click a button and provide the information. That's it. They're going to forget that they ever did it. They're probably not that serious. That's not enough of a hurdle. So there's a lot of reasons why we did a long form thing. So our services, basically what we're trying to do is work with brokers who are ready to scale their business and can handle, like it says here, mid to high volume. Our programs work best for lenders that have either national or multi-state reach and previous commercial and non-QM lending experience. People who fit that criteria have an excellent ROI with our program. And if you're not familiar with commercial side of things, you can actually operate in a lot more states than you may be familiar with, or right now, like you don't always have to just operate in the states you're licensed in as well. So I can talk about that in the Q&A as well. So keep going here. If you guys haven't seen our case studies, you can just go to mortgagegrowthsystem.com. You'll see a thing that says case studies. We have a ton of them. That's just a handful of screenshots of some of them. These are all video case studies, so you get to listen to the loan officers or brokers or whatever talk about their experience, the kind of results they produce, that kind of stuff with it. I hear it straight from their mouths. So those are great resources. And what we try to do in these case studies is make sure we're highlighting any challenges as well that people have. So this isn't all like, oh my gosh, everything's so amazing. We want you to know like the reality of it. Like everything has a little bit of a, edge to it as well. So we want you to know what you're getting into. So our process is kind of like the simple version of it. I mean, we're going to be targeting your audience with, some advanced data. And keep in mind, this is B2B targeting. So real estate investors are business owners. And that's one of the key things why the sector is still, thriving quite a bit, is because these people need your money so their business keeps operating, right? And so that's one of the cool things about it. A lot of you, if you're used to like doing home buyer leads or stuff like that, consumers that are in that category, they are harder to convert. It's not as mandatory, right? Their business does not rely upon your funds. They're just trying to move, maybe get a home, that type of stuff. This is very different. Like these people have to find a solution. Otherwise their business stalls. So either you're it or somebody else is. And so if you work with us, we're going to make you it, as long as you know what you're doing on the lending side. So we have a concentrated funnel. As I mentioned, we're generating long form leads. So we're going to have people answer 12 to 15 questions. And that's pretty much, your basic information that you need to know to understand like what they're looking for. Can you help them? Do you have a solution for them? Lead management. So we have a CRM system. that is really phenomenal. We'll get into that a little bit more. Sales and coaching. This is a key piece to what we do, actually. So again, since we've been doing this so long, worked with so many different brokers, loan officers over these years, we've really refined our process, and we want to be able to teach you how to best use it and leverage automation. So, minimize time, maximize output, basically. And then, yes, we do have some guarantees with the program. This one in specific, as long as you meet the criteria that we want you to advertise in about 40 states at a minimum, we do guarantee at least 250 leads over a 3-month period. There are absolutely ways to get a lot more than that. I mean, we absolutely have clients that are getting 40, 50, 60 leads per day. Those are our bigger clients. Those aren't individuals, just so you know that. In fact, actually, I would tell you that most of our clients are not individuals. I would say about 2 out of 3 of them are groups, whether that's 2, 3, 4, 5, or even larger groups than that. So anyway, the ad platforms. So this is how we generate the leads. So we're primarily going to be focused on meta platforms. There are still some other things that we can implement for people with bigger budgets. We might use some programmatic stuff, if you're familiar with that term. So that would allow us to go to other platforms, show up on other websites, even more so, but really meta platforms. So that's Facebook, Instagram, and I think Threads should be allowing advertising pretty soon. We're also doing retargeting. Some people call that remarketing. So this is a great way to build brand awareness, increase trust. So that means people that have engaged with your ads or visited your website or landing pages, we're going to keep showing the ads to them until we convince them that, hey, you're the solution, and they need to become a lead and get a quote from you guys. So why do we use these platforms? Well, there's some stats right here. I'll let you just read them, but I think the key thing to point out is that Meta is number one. It literally is. So a lot of people don't realize this, but there are more ad dollars, more advertising money spent on Meta than any other advertising platform in the world. That's TV, that's Google, that's all the other stuff. They dominate. And honestly, I mean, they're the first to really master the algorithms more so than anybody else. And all the other platforms are really trying to catch up at this point. And I don't know if they ever will. Maybe one day that'll happen. At this point in time, I would say they're still way ahead of the game, even with things like YouTube, TikTok, and the other secondary ad platforms. One key thing to understand, though, is what we're doing here is disruption-based marketing versus search-based marketing. And so because we have these AI and this data and all this stuff, what we can do is go find your ideal customers before they even search. And that's a key thing. So what happens is there's a lot of people out there that need your solution, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to go and search. A lot of people assume, well, everybody's just going to search or they need a solution. Now, that's not necessarily the case. Just think about last time maybe you walked in through a store or a mall or whatever, and you saw something on the shelf and you're like, dang, that looks cool. Like me, sometimes if I see a new flavor of Doritos, I'm going to grab that bag. But maybe you see a product, whatever the case is, and you didn't know you needed it, but when you see it, then you're like, yeah, I need that, or at least need to check it out. And that's kind of what's happening here. So we're able to get in front of people that are already real estate investors that may not have searched, or maybe they have searched recently. Those are both criteria which we can find people, and then get in front of them and acquire those customers. So that gives you a leg up. So a lot of people are used to only doing search-based marketing, which is fine. There's a lot of downfalls to it. Costs very high. The search volume is limited. Actually, a lot of people come to us because we can increase their lead flow considerably over search-based marketing. Because if you know anything about search-based marketing, you're relying upon the number of searches that are happening. If there's not enough, then that's it. Let's say there's 100 searches per day. Well, that's all you're going to be able to show your ads to. And then you still have tons of competition, and you're always going to get your butt beat by the guys that have big budgets. And then with our type of advertising, that's not the case. Actually, you can have very low budgets and compete equally to the guys with the big budgets too. So that's what's really cool. So anyway, so our behavioral data targeting process. So again, like I was just kind of talking about that. Behavioral data is is tapping into AI, a bunch of big data partnerships, data flowing from one platform to the other, essentially understanding when people are searching for those types of loans or doing things that would indicate that they are in this industry. And that's really what we're tapping into. Meta platforms have this built in already. We also have some special data partnerships that allow us to do things that even Meta can't do at this point. So I'll talk about that a little bit, but let's get into ad examples, because if you've seen Facebook ads or Instagram ads yourself, ideally, I would assume at least most of you have scrolled through one of those platforms. Well, ads pop up, right, as you start scrolling. So there's just some examples. Key thing to note is everything that we build for each individual is 100% custom. So, these ads are based on what the client had told us to do. Like they said, yeah, this is what I do. This is what I want to specialize in. This is what I want to focus in. So that's where we create the ads like this. So everybody gets their own unique ads. Everybody has, we feature what they're capable of or what their strengths are, or what it is they're into. So anyway, the ads are also highly engaging. So what you're seeing here, if you're not familiar with Facebook, is a whole bunch of people commenting on ads. We have screenshots like this that, where our clients are like in Messenger working with leads and stuff. So it's really cool. Again, our process works. And so not only are leads becoming leads through the long form process, some are calling in directly to you, some are commenting on your ads, some are messaging you directly. So you actually have really 4 sources of lead flow coming in through the process beyond our special stuff. So again, I kind of talked about this, the long form stuff. So I'll probably just skip this slide as far as that goes. But let's get into the lead management part. So this is pretty critical. So obviously, if we generate the lead, we need to make sure something happens to it after that. And so we do. So years of experience has led us to develop this platform. So we have an Agent GoGo CRM. Key thing to note about it is we do treat it like a third-party standalone tool, even though technically we own and control it. We've priced it at our cost because we want our clients to have a tool that is phenomenal, that can compete with many, many other CRMs out there that typically are about $150 to $200 per month. So again, we're just doing it at our cost so that you have an excellent tool. The other thing is we do want you to use it because we have all these proprietary campaigns that we've tested, refined, and constantly update and continue to refine. And we also can train you on this perfectly. We know every little thing about it, so we can make sure you're super dialed in. You can take advantage of the technology again, and to minimize your time, maximize your output. So lead conversions. So I mentioned this before, but it is important to kind of bring this up again. I think with commercial leads, we do see at least a 5 to 7% conversion rate. And that's really more in the short term. Usually if you give it about 6 months, you're going to see closer to 10% as well. So this grows over time. I'll have a slide about that here in a second. And then the other thing I mentioned before is about 10 to 20% of them need multiple loans, either immediately or later, or again, the key thing is if you're working with investors, I just have to say this one more time. If you're working with real estate investors and you do a good job for them, all you need to do is to stay in touch with them a little bit and they'll become repeat clients over and over again. A lot of our clients actually are able to get, some big fish that are like doing loans like every other month or maybe even every month. So, that's pretty cool. Let's see. Yeah, so we talk a little bit about lead conversions here. I think one of the key things is if you haven't done any type of marketing and stuff, you'll soon learn. And what we want to educate you on immediately if you start working with us is really anytime you're doing marketing, you're going to have people in 3 buckets: ready now, ready soon, ready later. Ready later are the people like that may, schedule a call with you or become a lead and they're like, I don't have a property yet. I'm not exactly sure when. I'm still trying to figure this out. Great. You have their information. We've already staged the CRM. We've provided you with automations to follow up with people in that category. Ready soon, kind of similar, probably a little closer. I think I have a property or I'm looking at these 2 or 3 properties. I'll have it narrowed down in a month, probably. Okay, ready now. Those are the people that need to go right now. There's plenty of those too, especially in this category, especially when you consider the fact a lot of these people need to be making moves quickly or they're in a hard money loan. They need to get into a 30-year DSCR or something like that. So we've set all this up. That was the key thing in the CRM to make it easy for you guys. So you're not figuring out the process. It's all ready to go. And so we do generate some really quality leads. This is an example of a real lead. So actually, if you work with us, what we do is we also put all the leads in a spreadsheet so you can kind of get this bird's eye view. And so this is kind of what it looks like. Plenty of big lead loans in there. And in fact, actually, I know we have generated several $20 million plus deals that have closed and funded, and at least one that was over 50 million. It was an apartment complex in Miami. So there are some really big deals that can come from this as well. So coaching support, I did talk about that a little bit. Here's some of the key people on our team that help you. Eddie's managing this call today. Megan's out helping our clients right now, so she's not on this call. But yeah, we do a lot of stuff on these coaching calls. We do these 6 hours per week. Actually, it's 5 hours now. We actually changed that a little bit, but 5 hours now. So plenty of time for you to, work with us hand in hand. We do one-on-one group type sessions. So we handle your questions one-on-one. We want to make sure that, we see what you're doing. We're literally looking over your shoulder like an assistant. And then everybody else can kind of learn from what we're teaching you and vice versa. So your question benefits the next person. Their question benefits you, so on and so forth. So as I mentioned before, in-house appointment setters. I usually have to say that 3 times. People are like, well, where do you hire the appointment setters? They're our team, they're our staff. So that means they're highly trained. All of them actually have 5+ years experience in this type of environment. They speak clean English as well, and they're also speak Spanish. So when you have Spanish speaking, borrowers, cool, they can handle that too. So anyway, so this is kind of where I talk about the, marketing and all that stuff and why the, conversion rates increase over time. A lot of that has to do with that ready now, soon and later stuff I was just talking about. But over time, all this stuff is compounding, right? It's just like, interest, like the stock market. When you put your money in there, you leave it in there, and this starts to build and build and build. Again, if you think about it, I said earlier, we guarantee at least 250 leads per month over a 3-month period, which is quite a bit. So as you know, as I said before, ready now, ready soon, ready later. Some of these leads are going to be in those 3 categories, and your ready laters are going to be ready soons in a little bit, and your ready soons are going to be ready nows. And that's why you have a compounding effect with marketing. A lot of people don't understand this. This is applicable to really any type of marketing. It has been the case for well before I was born, and I'm not young. So that's kind of what I want to talk about like that. And so what I usually try to reinforce here is that, when you work with us, is that this is a process, right? Just like anything, like we say here, like top athletes still practice, business leaders still learn. Processes is like that, right? This is not a vending machine where you're just like immediately like, oh, we got money spitting out. Like, it does take a little bit of time. Typically, most people won't see their first deals close until at least 2 months. It's not common for like 3, and that's just the nature of the beast. Like, if you've done loans, you should know, like, by the time you're talking to somebody, you have that conversation, get the application, go through all the little steps that along the way, get the documentation, So this is not overnight success, but in a 3 to 6 month journey, it's phenomenal. And we typically do not have a lot of people that quit our program if they go through the full 6-month cycle. Usually at that point, they're often 5, even 10x return on investment. Sometimes, excuse me, some of our case studies, you'll see pretty extreme return on an investment. I don't want to say that's normal, but that does happen. So you can at least see like what's possible. So we always try to tell people like, okay, try to figure out who you are. Like, are you a good fit for this? We don't want to work with people that aren't. So I'm not here to like sell just anybody and everybody. This chart kind of says it all, right? If you're going to be good at this, you got to be focused on customer service. You got to have passion for sales. You got to think creatively how to solve problems, especially in the commercial lending space. Anybody that's doing commercial, like, you probably know, right? Someone comes in, they think they need this loan. You're like, no, we're going to have to put you in this bucket. You're going to have to do this. We're going to have to do this. So anyway, yeah. So some of the cool things that we have too that we'll talk about is this is our audience sauce. You might have seen me mention it in the email. I won't get real deep into it. This is more upgrade stuff for clients that have bigger budgets, but we do have some really cool technology that has just literally come out. You're not going to see this anywhere. It's fingerprint resolution. We literally have the ability to capture about 50 to 60% of the people that visit your website. Really, the landing pages that we create for you is what I should say, not necessarily your website, and capture a ton of information on them. I mean, things like credit score, addresses, full contact information. It's pretty phenomenal stuff. This ties into some of the data tools that we have and the way we can implement the process. So what we can do with this information is a couple things. One is put these people into email campaigns, refeed them into the ad platforms, even do direct mail, which we'll talk about too. So we also have a direct mail solution. Again, this is, in most cases, this will probably be better for, the clients with bigger budgets. But there's a lot to be said. Direct mail is back. A lot of people are like, oh man, direct mail, that's so old. That's the old school. It's actually pretty powerful. As you may know, when you open your mailbox today, as compared to 10 years ago, you probably have a lot less stuff in there, unless it's stuffed with Amazon packages. And that's giving more space. So, that's what's awesome about mail. And actually direct mail, or mail itself, the cost of it has not risen by very much over the last decade, especially in comparison to advertising. Online advertising has definitely increased pretty significantly over that time. So I won't get into this too much today with all that stuff. I just kind of wanted to give you a little tidbit. So for some reason, this screen is not showing up correctly right now, but I do want to let you know, hopefully you can kind of see it at least. So anybody that's on this call right now, if you do, if you haven't booked a call, you should book a call with us. We'll talk. You can talk to the reps about it. We will give you $250 off just for joining today. If you've already talked to a rep, that's cool. You can apply that. We also have a 10% discount if you were to pay for 6 months in full. We'll get into all that. Just note this: we've been looking at our cost to deliver this kind of service. It is highly difficult. There's a lot of work that goes into it between all the coaching, the custom build outs, the management, the consultation, all that stuff. So we will be increasing our price per month on this to $2,000 per month as far as like our service fees goes. That does not cover all of the costs. I can get into that here real quick. I think that's the end of our screen. So if you do want to, if you haven't booked a call yet, you can go to mortgagegrowthsystem.com to do that. If you have, and you already have a rep here, just reach out to them or whatever, or I'm sure you're already talking to them about that stuff. But so let me get off the screen share mode here and start opening up. So if you can, just put in chat if you have a question so I can start answering it. You don't even have to put the question. I can just unmute your mic. There's more people on here than I expected, which is cool. But I want to make sure I answer everybody's questions if I can. So just let me know if you do have a question, or I can go down the list. James, talk to Jake. Cool. So if anybody have a question, you can just say, have a question, and we'll just unmute your mic and then get it live from you. We'll try to answer it. Surely someone has a question in here. There's no dumb questions.
Hey, Brandon.
Hey.
It's James.
Hey, James.
I've been a mortgage broker for 23 years, but I have zero experience in the commercial finance sector. Can you touch a little bit on this new exciting thing coming?
Yeah.
It kind of helps coach people through learning that process.
Sure. Yes. So I'll give you the quickest, best rundown I can. So a little over a year ago, we're fortunate to run into a person that had this company that already trains people. So they're the owner of it, and I think some of his employees and stuff they do commercial lending already, and they have been for I think 5 years, 6 years, something like that. So they started the training company 1.5 years ago, maybe 2 years ago, something like that. And so they have a couple different tiers. So what we're trying to do right now, though, is form a partnership where we can give you a couple different options if you decided to come to work with us to help expedite your learning curve or give you support. Or in some cases, it's probably going to make more sense, especially if someone has like basically no experience, to maybe move over onto their platform first and learn before you come onto our side. And we're going to try to work out something where there's a little bit of a combined effort so that the cost is affordable for you all. So, like a discount, if you will, by having both things, whichever angle you come from. So what they do, though, just so you know, so they have a full on training program where they walk you through every little piece. They show you how to bucket different loan categories. They connect you with vendors. They keep that information, like wholesale lenders. They keep that information up to date, so you know which ones are good, which ones are offering what. That way you can place different deals with different lenders that will be able to execute well, and actually have good rates and all that stuff, and actually be able to close the deal. And then they have regular trainings every single week, and they have one-on-one support and all kinds of stuff like that. So since I don't work there, I'm not they can pitch it way better than I could, but I'm pretty confident after looking through all their stuff, they know what they're doing. And it seems really good. And one of the key things too, because I know there's probably a few other people out here that haven't done that type of stuff. So there's one key thing that we've figured out over the last 3 years doing this type of marketing. So there's kind of two key things. One is it's pretty important to have experience. And if you haven't seen our most recent case studies are a really good one to watch because of this. But we figured out you have to have experience, because every deal is kind of different until you have a lot of experience. Then you can kind of start seeing the trends. And then you got to figure out how do these all get put together. And then the second piece is having those lenders, right? And that's one of the cool things about them and this training program is that they're showing you which lenders are good, and they're helping, keeping that up to date. So you know which ones to go to. That's one of the key things is people would come in, either not have experience or they wouldn't have enough lenders they could resource, and then they would struggle a little bit with the program because there's a lot of deals that are closable, but they couldn't figure out how to close them is the problem. And so we know that when people are experienced and they have, you know, a great training resource that can like guide them through all the little things they need to catch early on so they can close the deal and then put it to the right place it with the right lenders, then they can close deals. So most of these leads have closable deals. It's just, can you close them is the key. And so that's why one of the big reasons I'm super excited about, like even people that are like somewhat experienced. So sometimes we'll work with people that, you know, done some, they've dabbled in it, but they're not like super pros. Like a lot of our clients are pros at it. Like this is not anything new. They've done dozens and dozens, even hundreds of deals. And so it's like, you know, no big deal to them. They've seen everything under the sun at this point. But that's kind of the key. Does that kind of answer your question at least somewhat?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Cool. Yeah. And once it's all finalized, we'll push out some information about it to everyone and say, you know, and then help guide you guys whether it makes sense to like work with us directly and then use some of their support elements or vice versa, that kind of thing. So yeah, that's
what's the time frame on that?
I'm hoping next week that we finalize it. Don't hold me to that. It might be a little longer. I know sometimes it's harder, easier said than done to put stuff like this together, but yeah, pretty soon. Like worst case scenario, like they're functioning, they're already doing their own thing independently of us. You could go and sign up with them like today. So, and that's not a, you know, a problem. So we're just trying to make sure, like if you did want to do something where, you know, we could provide some sort of like discount where you did it work with both of us, that we have that option for you. So we're putting that together. I wish I had a little more. So right now it's just a teaser, but should be real close, a week or two away. Yeah.
Good deal. Thank
okay.
you for that.
Yeah, and Chrissy popped some information. Yeah, the core, I think the course is actually it's 12 weeks. It's 12 weeks of like lots of one-on-one support and stuff. And then after that, it kind of phases into another cycle. And it's like you have infinite access to the course, I believe. So don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty certain that's how that works. So but yeah, let's see if other people have questions. James, that's a great one. I appreciate you asking it. Certainly there are some other questions out here. My ability to help you is fueled by your questions. So if you have any questions, so we have Sean on here. Hey, Sean, nice jumping on. Nice of you. And Lisa. Hey, Lisa. Some people that we've worked with. Yeah, either Elon. Hey, we got Elon on here too. All right, we got some of my favorite people on the call today. Do you any of you people have questions? I know Elon, was it yesterday? I think we talked. So hi, Lisa. How's it going? Lisa, have you done commercial? Yes, Elon, I know. I knew it was yesterday or the day before. Time flies fast for me. Cool. I don't know. If you guys don't have questions, I run out of stuff to talk about. What should we talk about? Do I have any ideas? Chrissy, what am I not telling people? I can talk about our costs. I'm surprised nobody was brought that up because I didn't get into it. I thought somebody would ask right away just so you kind of know how that works. So let me just do that while we see if anybody has any questions. So just so you know, I mean, unfortunately, doing this type level of marketing, it's not super cheap. So I know sometimes people like book calls and stuff with us and are hoping like somehow we have like a few $100 options. So we don't, and we probably never will. Like in my experience, like if you want real results from marketing, you got to spend some money. So basically the way it works right now, as of today, until we change the pricing on December 1st, is that we have a one-time $1,000 setup fee. You have a $1,750 per month service fee. And then we require you to spend at least $2,250 per month on ads. So that's $4,000 per month and the one-time $1,000 setup fee. Now, keep in mind, we do guarantee at least 250 leads over the course of 3 months at that ad spend level. The appointment setters come with it. So that's a highly trained team of callers that are booking calls for you. And Eddie, since he actually manages that team. Eddie, do you have any rough stats you might be able to share with me on that? That makes sense to share at least. As far for the non-QM people, the commercial non-QM.
For the non-QM people, they book by themselves a lot, and the ones that they don't book, we'll go ahead and book them. But we're booking, I don't know, 4 to 5 bookings every time we call. So like um, a percentage, it's hard to say because everybody's different in the non-QM.
Yep.
So
Yeah, which yeah, that sounds about right. Because we have a Slack channel, and anytime they book a call, they put it in the channel. So I'm like constant watching it. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Boom, this client got 5 calls today. Yeah, actually, I saw someone got 5 yesterday. I think at least what I saw. It actually gets so busy in that Slack channel. Sometimes I have to be like, oh my gosh. Yeah, 250. GC has a question. How does the guarantee work? 250 leads minimum. So yeah, it's essentially it's basically it works like this. So we have that's what let me talk about that too. That's good. Good question. So 2250 is what we have you spend on ads per month. So over the course of 3 months, as long as you're advertising in 40 plus states, we'll guarantee at least 250 leads. We have a formula. So if there's some reason you want to advertise in less states, where we still give you a guarantee, it does reduce just a little bit. I will tell you, most of our clients actually end up with a little bit more leads than that. So it's not uncommon to see like up to 300. Now, the other thing is, I would say probably about 80% of our clients, they don't spend the minimum on ad spend. A lot of people start there, but most people, as soon as they see where this is going, or especially after they start getting a return on investment, they increase that. So most of our clients do not spend the minimum of 2250. They're spending a lot more than that. And that could be 4,000 per month, 10,000. We have some that spend 30, even 40,000 per month. And so you have the flexibility to increase that, which is really cool. That actually starts to tilt the whole equation more in your favor. And the reason is, I explain it like this, is like, we're the vehicle, your ad spends your gas, right? So your car payment is essentially a fixed payment, right? You pay $700 per month for your car, whatever it is, but you can keep putting more gas in it and drive your car further. That doesn't increase your car payment. It actually just gives you more value out of your car, right? You're getting more out of your car. And so that's why most of our clients do not stick with the minimum. So you can make the decisions based on, what you're producing or what kind of time you have or what kind of budget you have. And so our clients, sometimes they do go up and down, like, oh, like, I talked to a client the other day. He's going to go out of the country in December. So he wants to cut his ad spend quite a bit, which makes sense. He's going to be doing stuff. He's going to be hanging out with friends and family or whatever. So it's kind of thing. But yeah, that's basically how the 250 works. We do put it in our agreements. It's in ink. So like if for some weird reason it cost us more than the money we collected from you, we just come out of pocket and just take care of it. So you don't really have to worry about it. Like, so what? Like, it's our problem, not your problem, kind of thing. But yeah, most of our clients do end up spending more than that. We don't do any lead quantity guarantees that are above that though. So if you're like, well, I'm going to double my budget, are you going to give me 500 leads? We don't do that, but it does usually equate to about the same. So we can usually scale it up to, like I said, the highest we've scaled is 40K per month on this, and the lead costs it has held completely across the board with that. And now, especially with all these new in-market data tools, the fingerprint ID technology and stuff that we have, it's pretty cool. And actually, I'll talk about that a little bit too, since people aren't asking a lot of questions. So the in-market data is pretty interesting. We now have the ability to capture about 90% of people that make a relevant search within a 3-month period of time. And we can condense that to any period of time we want, essentially. And then we can feed that data into the ad platforms, or even do, cold emails, stuff like that with it. So it's pretty cool. Pretty phenomenal stuff. Again, you probably haven't seen anything like that. It might even sound like science fiction, because this kind of thing wasn't even possible literally until very recently. This is all like new technology, and we partnered up in a conglomerate. Yeah, well, you would. So GC, let me answer your question. So you would not fall short, is what I'm saying. So if for some reason the amount of money we collected from you was not enough for us to get you 250 leads, we just come out of pocket and pay for the ads to make sure you get there. So does that make sense? Yeah. And so, yeah. So the way it would work would be essentially we'd do the like 3 months. And if for some reason you're short, you just would pay nothing extra. And we would just keep running and doing this until we catch you up. So, and then after that, most people just move to month to month. Yeah. So Elon had a question. Cool. Thanks, GC. Hopefully that works for you. Do you know yet what the most requested type of loan of the leads request, like fix and flip, multifamily, new construction? It really depends on the structure of the ads, to be honest with you. And so that's why we're customizing it. So like I said, some people have, like they're really specializing. We actually have a couple clients that specialize in ground up construction or even like mid construction stuff. And so they advertise specifically for that. And so they get a lot of that, obviously, because that's what the ad's about. It's like, hey, you have a construction project. Yeah. Okay. We can help you with that. So really a lot of it depends upon the ad structure. That's actually a good thing to bring up though, too. So one of the things we do encourage people to realize is that the broader you can go with the product offerings, the better return on investment you'll be able to get. And what I'm saying there is like, sometimes we'll work with people and they're like, well, I only do DSCR. That's all I want to do. I understand those are easier, a lot of times faster turn, all that stuff. But the problem is there's so many people that have other loan needs. And a lot of times people don't know that either. Like these investors, even if they're experienced, they think, they did something in the past and they're like, oh, well, this is that kind of loan. I need that. And they come to you and they're like, well, I want one of these. And you're like, no, that scenario is not going to work for this. You needed this. And so we encourage you to try to be as broad as you can. And I understand like some people are like, well, I don't mess with construction, but I can do the fix and flip. I can do the bridge. I can do the hard money, all that stuff, and DSCR, but not construction or whatever the mix is. So you can really, so when we onboard you, it's super detailed, customized process. Like we take quite a bit of time to gather, the strengths that you have as a broker or lender or whatever, what kind of things you want to feature. And then we customize your whole advertising process to that. So again, though, we do encourage people to be a little bit broader than especially than just DSCR, because you'll miss a lot of deals, like I said before, that are closable as well. So it's not always just experience. It's also like willingness to do those stuff. So our people that are broad tend to do the best for sure. So because of that fact. So that's good. That's a good question, Elon. Does that help answer that question? Hopefully so. I got about 15 more minutes. Awesome. Thanks, Ellen. Does anybody else have some good questions for me? I'm running out of ideas here if I don't have questions, but I do appreciate y'all jumping on me. If you go ahead, just unmute your mic if you do have a question. We're glad to tackle it. We got a CR. You already asked questions. Cyrus, I haven't heard from you. You have any questions? I think we have a Ken Hollaball, I believe, if I remember correctly. Sam, Will. Hey, Ken, how's it going? And CR, Carlos.
And you could talk about how if somebody, if maybe the budget is too much right now, they could partner with another loan officer.
Yeah. So, I actually kind of talked a little bit about that. That's one of the reasons why I would say 2 out of 3 of our clients are not individuals. They're teams. And what's cool about that is it's kind of like sharing a car, like carpooling, right? So they can spread the cost out between several people. Now, usually our teams are going to, most of the time they do want to increase ad spend. And I usually encourage that so they have a strong lead flow between the lot of them, whether that's 2 people, 3 people, 5 people, whatever the case may be. But obviously, like, let's just say you have 5 people and our service fee is $1,750. Well, divide that by 5. Now you're paying a couple $100 per month per person on the service fee, which leaves you a lot more room and capacity. So a lot of people will partner up with, it's usually someone else in their office, but not always. Sometimes they have weird random partnerships, and that's fine too. So whatever works for you, but that's a great way to like make sure the cost is affordable and at least get you in the door so you can start, taking advantage of this type of this lead and this whole market. So I think that kind of covers that part, but yeah, that's one option to make things affordable. So, the last thing I should say about that too is with the way we set up the systems and automations is it's set, our teams have it so it's round robin, so it's automatic. So you have equal distribution between all parties. And so that's the one little key too, though, is like you all have to realize your equal distribution. Now, whether or not you want to pay equally, that's another thing. Like sometimes we have teams where like there's one person that pays like half of it and then the other 2 pay a quarter each. like they work that out amongst themselves, and that's cool for them. You know, that's how they do it. But the lead distribution would be even across the board. So, and it's all, like I said, automated. So you're not like trying to figure out who got the lead, who gets the lead. Now the system does it for you. You don't have to figure it out. It's just automatic. So it's pretty cool. Like I said, we have really good automations and lead follow up and all that stuff, and a super, super easy to use system. So we just plug you right into it. So, and then, like I said before, we treat that like a standalone tool. So a lot of people will use that for other things. So if you have other leads from other sources, old leads, whatever, you can pop them in there. You can feed leads from other sources into that too as well. So that's why we do it that way. So you have ultimate flexibility with it. Which actually brings me to one last thing, which is important. So if you guys did want to get going on a program or whatever, so the other pricing structure situation that may be beneficial is, so normally what we can do is like $1,000 down to do so you basically lock in your spot, and then 2 weeks later we'd collect the first month of service fee, and about 2 weeks later we collect the ad spend part. So that's one way we can spread this out for you a little bit, because the onboarding process is probably going to be about a month, just so you know. And a lot of that really has to do with what's called 10DLC or A2P, or it goes by a bunch of different names. So if you're not familiar, there's this new texting regulation that's in place. So when you get your CRM, we have to get it reviewed by a third-party organization called the TCPA. And they're going to look at this stuff and they're going to approve your phone number. And it takes typically about 2 weeks or so on average for that to happen. And so while we're doing that, we don't want you to start running ads or anything until that is approved, because the texting capability of the system is really critical for the lead conversion part. And so that's why it's longer. Like we used to be able to onboard people in about 2 weeks, but now because of the new regulations that are, unfortunately just outside of our control, it does take a little bit longer. So we usually it's going to be about 3-4 weeks in most cases, just due to that. So, but that gives you time to spread out your payments too as well. And so, like I said, if you did want to reach out to a rep or whatever, you could get $250 off on it. So instead of doing 1,000 down, you could do 750 down. Just keep in mind, 250. I know it's not like a huge number, but that's for most people, that's going to average close to 10 leads. And if you're looking at 7% conversion rate up to 10, that could be one deal right in there. And in fact, you never know with the way odds and statistics work, could be 3 deals in those 10 leads that we're basically giving you for free. So anyway, but with that, I think we're out to about 8-9 minutes. So, oh yeah, good question. So the 3 months start when your ads actually go live. Yeah, no. So during onboarding, all that, we basically just count that as like no free time or whatever. So so the day your ads go live, that's when the clock says, oh, 3 months. We're going to start doing the 3 months. Yep. And then just so you all know too, because our company works in like sprint cycles, we only launch people either on the middle of the month, that's the 16th, or the 1st of the month. So we time it a little bit like that so that we can all work in tandem, because it does take a lot of work to build all this stuff out for you guys custom. So CRM, landing pages, ads, all that stuff, onboarding you, making sure you get trained. We really throwing the kitchen sink in here for you guys, because we want you to succeed. And if you're good at this, there's no reason why you won't still be here a year from now, 2 years from now. So that's why we're trying to do all this stuff. Awesome. Well, I think I've answered a lot of the questions. I've tried to tell you guys everything I can think of. With that being said, I'll hang on for like another minute or two and see if there's any other questions. And other than that, I appreciate you jumping on. And we can, if you have, like I said, the best way to really, dive in and really understand the system is book a call. If you haven't already, the reps can walk you through it. If you booked a call before about like our home buyer stuff or whatever, like that we were focused on previously, it's not that different. The process is essentially the same. It's just, obviously we're going after a different sector. Again, I can't stress enough, these are B2B leads. So if you've only experienced B2C leads, it's a whole other ballpark. B2C leads they are harder to convert. They're harder to get conversations. They're harder to get applications. These B2B leads, they are eager and they want to solve their problem so they can make money. And so they will talk to you. They will show up to their appointments. They will book calls with you. They'll fill out applications. they'll do the stuff they need to do so they can get their money so they can make more money. So. All right. No other questions, I think. So, hey, I appreciate you all jumping on. Mortgagegrowthsystem.com. That's where you would go if you want to book a call. Dig around the page, the reviews, case studies, and stuff like that are on there. There's also a specific page for like non-QM commercial stuff that I'm talking about. Pretty much covered it though today. So, but I know by the time you wake up tomorrow, you'll only remember half of it. So check out the site. Appreciate you all.